You're born on Corsica, an island so insignificant. France only bought it because they lost the receipt for something better. You're French, technically, but only on paper. Your mom pops out 13 kids. Only 8 survive. You're number 2, but you're already competing for attention like it's a civil war. Foreshadowing. Congratulations. You're Napoleon, and that sucks. At 9, your dad sends you to military school in France. You don't speak proper French, you're short, poor, and smell like goat stew. Instant popularity, 0. You get bullied constantly. They call you Napoleon. Sounds fancy. It's not. It's the 18th century version of try-hard midget with delusions of grandeur. You cope by reading about Julius Caesar and war tactics instead of, making friends. You don't develop social skills, you develop strategy. While the other kids kiss cheeks and trade bread, you're dreaming about artillery formations. You're not lonely, you're militarily focused. Teenage years, you become an officer. Congratulations. Now you're short and surrounded by taller men with better family connections. Your accent's still awful. The aristocrats think you're a peasant pretending to be French. You think they're morons. You're both right. Then boom, French Revolution. Heads roll, mobs scream, everything's on fire. You're thriving. Finally, chaos is an opportunity. You fire cannons on rioters in Paris. Whiff of grape shot, they call it. You call it job security. Paris calls it mass murder with flair. Suddenly, you're a hero. Or at least, a very effective sociopath with medals. The government puts you in charge of the Italian campaign. Italy is broke, fragmented, and barely a country. You conquer it anyway, mostly by outsmarting old men in powdered wigs. You paint yourself as a genius general, lover of liberty, and savior of France. You also steal every painting you can carry. Enter Josephine, elegant, older, and uninterested in you. Naturally, you fall head over heels. She cheats constantly. You write poems. She ignores them. You invade Egypt. For science. Actually for clout. You lose to the British at sea, get stuck, and spend months dodging sand and syphilis. Back in France, you rewrite history. Victory in Egypt, you say. The press nods politely. You're not just a general now, you're a brand. Then comes the big move, coup d'état. You overthrow the government in broad daylight. Democracy? That's for people who lose wars. You install yourself as first consul, then consul for life, then emperor. In less than 5 years, you speedrun dictatorship with style. You crown yourself emperor, not the pope. Because even God answers to your ego now. Now you're ruling half of Europe. Your strategy? Give your useless brothers entire kingdoms. It's like Oprah, but with thrones. You build a new aristocracy, enforce a police state, and somehow convince people it's all in the name of liberty. Neat trick. Prussia, Austria, Italy, they all fall. You even beat the Holy Roman Empire, so hard it stops existing. That's not hyperbole. You erased an empire. But Britain? Unbeatable at sea. You try a blockade. They just invent smuggling. Turns out they love capitalism more than oxygen. Your next brilliant idea: invade Spain. Spoiler, the Spanish love guerrilla warfare and hate you. The people invent modern insurgency just to spite you. Russia? Oh yeah, let's do that. You march 600,000 men into Moscow and forget one tiny thing. Russians love winter more than life. Moscow burns itself down just so you can't have it. Your army freezes, starves, and dies. You leave early on a sled. Leadership. Only 10% of your army makes it back. France is broke, your allies are nervous, and your soldiers are done following you into blizzards. And that sucks. But if you don't want to suck like Napoleon, go ahead. Like this video, subscribe, and slap that bell. He froze in Russia. You could stay hot with our next meltdowns. The coalition closes in. You try to hold Paris, but guess what? Even Parisians are tired of your whole glory or death routine. You abdicate. They exile you to Elba, a rock in the Mediterranean with goats, boredom, and a tiny crown to remind you what you lost. But you're Napoleon. Retirement isn't your vibe. Less than a year later, you sneak back into France. The king sends an army. They join you instead. For 100 glorious days, you're back. And France is like, wait, are we doing this again? Yes. Yes, you are. Waterloo. Your final act. You're facing British, Dutch, Prussians. You still think you're the smartest guy in the room. You're not. You delay your attack. Bad weather. Bad tactics. Bad luck. The Duke of Wellington says hi and punches your legacy into a crater. You lose. You know it. Everyone knows it. You try to escape again. The British laugh and throw you on a ship to St. Helena. St. Helena is nothing. Just volcanic rock, wind, and resentment. No empire. No Josephine. Just you and some British guards who hate your face. You dictate your memoirs. You rewrite your defeats as misunderstood victories. You claim you loved liberty the whole time. Sure, buddy. You walk in circles every day, bored out of your imperial mind. You miss war. You miss France. France misses not being invaded. Your health declines. Your stomach turns against you. Some say it's cancer. Some say poison. Either way, it sucks. On May 5th, 1821, you die. Alone. Far from home. Your last words? France, the army, Josephine. Two of those things betrayed you. The third just died earlier. Years later, they dig up your body and parade it through Paris. Now tourists take selfies next to your tomb. The empire's long gone, but the merch is great. Your brothers lost their kingdoms. Your son never ruled. Your name lives on in textbooks, battles, and bad high school essays. You're remembered as a military genius, a tyrant, a reformer, a romantic. Basically, the historical version of a toxic ex. Your legacy is everywhere: laws, schools, battle tactics. But so are the graveyards you filled. You were worshipped, feared, exiled, then pitted. That's what happens when your dreams are bigger than your armies. You thought you were destiny in boots. But in the end, you were just a man who couldn't stop picking fights he couldn't finish. You reshaped the world map. Then the world reshaped you into a cautionary tale with a killer uniform. So yeah, being Napoleon, it meant glory, power, love, betrayal, war, exile, death, and really bad winter survival instincts. You climbed to the top of the world, then fell. Twice. That's not ambition. That's an addiction. They say history is written by the victors. But in your case, it was written by you. Loudly, repeatedly, and mostly inaccurately. You prove that one man can change history. You also prove that one man can screw it up spectacularly. You made soldiers weep, kings flee, and poets cry. You also made 600,000 men march into Russia in wool coats. Good job. In school, they teach your strategies. But they skip the diarrhea, frostbite, and political meltdowns. You're lucky. You were a volcano in boots, brilliant, explosive, and absolutely guaranteed to destroy everything around you. The irony: you fought kings your whole life and died wishing you'd been one. Your hat is iconic. Your name legendary. Your height, still the butt of every joke in Europe. You lived like a god, died like a man, buried in style, but still just a body under rock and bronze. You once said, history is the version of past events that people have decided to agree upon. Bro, you wrote half of it yourself. You wanted eternity. You got museums. You wanted love. You got memoirs. You wanted glory. You got exile twice. Your ghost probably paces in circles, correcting history textbooks. Sorry, not everyone thinks you were that great. You weren't a monster. But you weren't a saint. You were Napoleon, half warlord, half tragic opera in human form. The French still debate if you were a hero or a curse. But everyone agrees you were exhausting. In the end, your biggest battle wasn't with Europe. It was with yourself. And buddy, you lost. You ruled the world, but couldn't rule your ego. You conquered nations, but not your need to be right. You believed greatness justified anything. Turns out, people prefer not dying in the snow. So next time someone says they want to be like Napoleon, ask them, which part? The victories or the exile? You were a legend, a warning, a meme before memes. A man who could change a continent, but not a single wife's loyalty. People name their dogs after you. Their complex strategies? Not so much. You could win a dozen battles and still lose the war. That's not irony. That's karma in a bicorn hat. Being Napoleon? It meant living fast, conquering hard, and dying slowly, surrounded by British chaperones and crushing regret. So yeah, being Napoleon sucked. Unless you're into freezing to death, backstabbing bros, and being history's most glorious cautionary tale. And if there's another unfortunate historical soul you'd love to see dragged through the mud, drop their name in the comments. We just might roast their tragic legacy next. Meanwhile, click the video on screen, see why their life sucked just as hard, if not harder.